Well, I think the main reason that legislators should care about free speech on campus is because today's students are tomorrow's legislators and our judges and our voters. And so it's critically important that this place where students are learning how the Constitution works and what their First Amendment rights are, that it actually respect the First Amendment values that hopefully all these legislators would want those students to be able to reflect once they are there in the legislature with them and productive members of society. So I think that's the first key reason is that we want to make sure that these universities are actually training people to be good legislators, and that requires an understanding of the Constitution and how it works. Well, that's the other reason that I think that legislators should really care about free speech is that the Constitution requires it. The only permit that a student needs to exercise their First Amendment rights is the First Amendment. So the Constitution protects student First Amendment rights, and when these universities are violating the First Amendment, they're putting the state on the line, they're putting the state treasury on the line. And so it's critical then that from just a fiscal perspective, for state legislators, that you make sure that these universities are being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. And that means not wasting taxpayer dollars on policies that are violating students' rights where you're going to get sued and you're going to lose and you're going to have to pay my attorney's fees. So I would, as a taxpayer, I would encourage these state legislators to make sure that these universities are respecting the First Amendment and not wasting taxpayer dollars. I think it would encourage students to just be courageous, stand up for your First Amendment rights. Not only because your voice is important, we need to hear these conservative students, libertarian students, usually are the ones whose rights are being violated, but it really impacts everyone. When students on the left don't hear conservative ideas and aren't forced to be able to grapple with those ideas, it hurts them as much as it does the conservative students who aren't able to express those ideas. So for everyone, in order for your university to thrive, you need to have an environment where students are able to speak freely and debate one another. So stand up for your rights, and it's also critically important that your fellow students are understanding the First Amendment values there on your campus before they're out in the rest of society. So take it almost as an educational opportunity. This is your chance to teach your fellow students what it means to be a citizen in our republic, how the Constitution works, how the First Amendment works. Well, it kind of changes over time. While we see, I think, fewer speech codes and speech zones and security fees and some of these things on campuses today, what we see is that they're actually being enforced more. And often because other students are demanding that universities enforce these clearly unconstitutional policies. And I think that comes from an environment that these policies have created in the first place. Because when you're a student and you see on your student code of conduct that you have these speech codes and speech zones, what it communicates to these students is that the First Amendment is too dangerous to permit. And if we don't, so students begin to internalize that and actually believe the lie that speech is violence. And so it's perfectly normal then for the students to be responding the way they do to some of these speakers with actual violence, trying to shut down student speech and treating other students as if there's something violent in their simple words that they disagree with. So I think the policies it's kind of woven together. The policies from the universities are what need to change because they're creating the environment where students think that these things these ideas are too dangerous and we can't allow them.